Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a type of violence that often leaves no visible scars, but is absolutely devastating: coercive control. We're going to explore those subtle, often hidden dynamics that can trap someone in a relationship and, most importantly, how to start spotting them.
This is such a crucial question. What can look like really intense affection or someone being super protective can sometimes be a deliberate, calculated pattern of control. An abuser's most powerful weapon is often disguising that control as care. So today, we're going to learn how to tell the difference. Okay, so first things first, let's build our foundation. To really get a handle on this complex issue, we need to clearly define what we even mean by invisible violence. We're talking about abuse that doesn't leave physical marks, but believe me, it is just as damaging.
So, first up is psychological violence. Now, the word on this slide that I really want you to focus on is systematic. We are not talking about a one-off argument or a single mean comment. No, this is a deliberate, repeated pattern of behavior. It's designed to break someone down, to chip away at their sense of self and their independence.
And that leads us perfectly to our next key concept: coercive control. Okay, so think of it like this. If psychological violence is one of the tools, coercive control is the entire game plan. It's a whole campaign of domination that uses all sorts of tactics: isolation, financial abuse, stalking, you name it, to essentially entrap a person in their own life.
So, how does a pattern like this actually play out day to day? Well, it's rarely just constant aggression. In fact, the violence often follows this predictable, repeating cycle that is just incredibly confusing and trapping for the person going through it.
Let's walk through this because it is so powerful and so confusing. It all starts with tension building. You know that walking on eggshells feeling. This builds and builds until it escalates to an incident, an outburst, intimidation, maybe violence. But here's what's so trapping. What comes next? Reconciliation. The abuser apologizes, they promise to change, they can be incredibly loving. And that leads to a period of calm, which gives the victim hope that maybe things have finally changed for good. This dangerous mix of abuse and affection, it creates a really powerful trauma bond that makes it extremely hard to leave.
But, and this is a huge but, it is so crucial to remember this. While that four-stage model is a useful guide, the reality can be a whole lot messier. That cycle can speed up, stages can get skipped entirely, or for many people, there is no calm period at all. It's just a constant state of tension and control. All right, so to keep this cycle of control going, abusers use a whole range of specific psychological tactics. Let's think of this as the abuser's personal toolkit for manipulation. This first set of tools is all about twisting reality. You've got love bombing, which is that over-the-top, overwhelming affection right at the start. Then there's gaslighting, which makes you doubt your own sanity. They'll flat out deny something happened until you actually think you're going crazy. Grooming is a slower process of isolating you and making you more dependent, while hoovering, that's that desperate attempt to suck you back in right when you're trying to escape. And the toolkit continues with tactics that are really just designed to wear you down and punish you. Normalizing is when they make you think their constant criticism is just how they are. The silent treatment literally uses silence as a weapon of control. And word salad, that's that confusing, circular way of arguing that leaves you so drained and disoriented, you just give up. Now, a key strategy for any abuser is isolation. I mean, it's absolutely fundamental. By cutting someone off from their support system, their friends, their family, they make the victim feel completely and utterly dependent. It might start small, with little comments about not liking a certain friend, but it can escalate to demanding to know where you are at all times, or even taking away your car keys. And just as critical is financial control. This is one of the most effective ways to trap somebody. By controlling all the money, by sabotaging their job, or by running up debt in their name, an abuser just removes any possibility of financial independence. It makes it feel completely impossible to leave. Okay, so we've covered the theory, right? The definitions, the cycle, the toolkit. Now let's switch gears and get practical. How do you actually recognize these patterns in the real world? Because that's the real challenge, isn't it? These behaviors are so often disguised or explained away. Spotting them means you have to know the subtle signs and, more importantly, understand how they all connect to form a much bigger pattern of control. Recognition is always the first step. So let's look at a real-world scenario. Let's meet Nina. She's 35, and as she's talking, you can just tell she's tense. She says her partner handles all the money. He criticizes her decisions, and he really doesn't like her friends. She even dismisses a violent outburst, saying it wasn't a big deal, and admits that it's just easier to go along with whatever he wants. So, based on everything we've just talked about, just take a second. What are the warning signs that you're hearing in Nina's short description? Think about that toolkit, the isolation tactics, the financial control we just covered. What's jumping out at you?
Now, let's apply a professional tool to this, a simplified early risk assessment. When we map Nina's not a big deal comments onto these very direct questions, a really disturbing pattern starts to emerge. Frequent criticism? Yep. Limits contact with friends? Yes. Controls her spending? Absolutely. Has he broken objects? Yes. And implied threats to her kids and pressure around intimacy? That's a clear yes to both. The number of yes answers we have here is 6 or more. In a professional context, a score like that indicates a medium to high risk of coercive control. Suddenly, all those small, not a big deal comments, they form a very big, very concerning picture. So once a risk like this is identified, what happens? What's the next step? Well, the response has to match the level of danger. This is where we shift from just recognizing the problem to taking action. And this right here is a critical distinction. For lower risk situations, sometimes just providing a safe space for someone to talk and feel heard might be enough. But when there are clear signs of coercive control, when there are threats or any restrictions on someone's freedom and safety, like in Nina's case, that is when a referral to professional services becomes absolutely essential. I want to end with this really powerful quote. The key takeaway from all of this is that just because we can't see this kind of violence, it does not mean it isn't happening. Our challenge really is to overcome all the barriers, the shame, the fear, the simple lack of awareness that keep it hidden in plain sight. All the information that we've explored today comes from the Protect Women Project, an initiative that's dedicated to empowering people with the knowledge they need to prevent control. Thank you so much for taking the time to understand this critical issue with us today.